acquire telehealth rather inexpensively and provide it to those franchisees as a service they can offer their employees. I mean, it's like $10 a month to have unlimited
Oh,
telehealth visits.
that's
So
excellent.
yeah, so they can now at least see a doctor if they have an issue, get a prescription, those kind of things. They have to pay to go to a doctor, pay to, or go to an emergency room, which was what a lot of people do. Talked about the earned wage advance piece, which is basically you work a day, you can take that pay at the end of the day.
Welcome to Business Ninjas, brought to you by WriteForMe, where you'll hear from business leaders who are out there growing their business and slaying it every day. Learn from the masters. Let's get started.
Hi, and welcome to another episode of Business Ninjas. I'm here today with David Kowalski, co-founder and chief financial officer at Sonata Bank. How you doing today, David?
Good. How are you doing, Andrew?
I am good, thank you. Appreciate you spending some time with us here on Business Ninjas. Please tell us a little bit about yourself and about Sonata Bank.
Sure. Well, first, thank you for having us. Very excited to talk about Sonata and very pleased to be on your podcast. But Sonata Bank was originally a concept in 2020, where we had a gentleman who was founded 4 banks within the Nashville area and wanted to do one more before he was done. And he is very active in the quick service restaurant industry, which is otherwise known as fast food or fast casual type food.
Okay.
And it's been so for the last 50 years, and always wanted to try to do something to provide benefits and financial literacy products and just overall a better life to his employees who don't generally work enough hours to qualify for insurance, tend to be low wage employees and tend to be underserved in the banking community. So he came up with this idea of a bank that would be primarily for those employees that work in those restaurants. And what he wanted to do was come up with a way we could deliver everything digitally, primarily through a banking app. We would not only just deliver banking services, but products and services they would like, such as rewards programs for savings or for using their debit cards. Health insurance, or not health insurance so much as the ability to access health care. And there are some products that would maybe be more the health insurance variety, but telehealth is mostly the way we're going to deliver that service to them. Earned wage advance or daily pay, it's better known in the market, whereby you could receive your day's wage on the day you work rather than having to wait 2 weeks. And a lot of other interesting products and services that we can offer, and bundle it all with financial literacy to help this community grow and begin to save money if they can, and to understand better how the banking system works. We began organizing back in 2020. End of 2021, we located a small charter up in Seabury, Kentucky, which is about 2 hours north of Nashville. And we were able to come to an agreement with them whereby we capitalized that charter and are moving forward as that bank under the name Sonata, which has a lot of different meanings, but the one we like best is the fact that it's the accompaniment to a soloist in music, whereby you're playing a piano, you're doing something in the background that's really just supporting the person out in front, which will be our customers. So that's a quick overview of our story.
That's excellent. I mean, that's a segment of society that has exponentially grown in the last 2 years through COVID in terms of people working in that space and food delivery people and all that kind of stuff. That's excellent that you're lifting people up at that level. And what about David Kowalski? What's your background? How did you end up in this position?
So I'm a lifelong banker. Was in Ohio. Started out in Ohio about 1995. I started working at banking. In 2004, I came to community banking and really love the community banking aspect of just serving the people who live in your area. And was really intrigued by that idea of building communities, and worked at a couple banks in Ohio. Moved to Nashville, Tennessee in 2014 to work at a growing bank there, and realized how crazy the banking community was in Nashville, how fast everything grows, and how big and how what a dynamic market it is here. been at 3 banks. All 3 banks have been sold since I've been here. So this is my 4th bank in Nashville. It's when I'm more involved in starting. The ones I came later, always in an executive position, primarily on the financial side. Also have some risk background, seeing as a chief audit executive, but primarily controller, CFO throughout my career, chief accounting officer. Was that at Reliant Bank, which is my last stop. Dan Dellinger was the CFO. We both left towards the end of 2020, and then this idea was born, and we've been working on this pretty much ever since.
Excellent, excellent. And how many people are using this platform now?
Well, so we are just getting ready to launch our pilot program. We're going to launch it with one company here in Nashville that has about 2,000 employees. We're not going to put them all on there, but just kind of get a feel for the products and services that people like. And the idea would be to grow it to somewhere around 15,000 employees by the end of this year, and somewhere launch nationally in 2024, and grow it to, around 50,000 employees within 3 years on our platform.
Fabulous. And when you get to those sorts of numbers, you can leverage the insurance industry to lower the costs, and people who haven't had health insurance can find themselves living a more comfortable existence.
Absolutely.
Financial literacy is a term that's thrown around, and most people don't find their path to it until they have screwed up to the point where they have a quick education on their hands, right? Okay, so get into the specifics a little more of the platform in itself, and what tools are available to people who join.
So the primary piece is really the banking, and what we're going to do is what's happened in the fast food industry, the quick service restaurant industry, is a lot of restaurants, owners, franchisees have moved to the pay card approach.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of those employees did not have bank accounts, so they put them on these pay cards where the money would be put on the card, and they'd use it like a debit card, instead of having to go and cash a check and pay a fee for doing so, sometimes up to 5%. So what we're going to do is we're going to recruit the franchisee. We're going to move their employees to our platform, whereby they'll be given a Sonata bank account. As long as they qualify for bank accounts. If they don't, we have a process whereby we would bring them up to that level to be able to have a bank account. In the interim, we would just be giving them a pay card, which would still be a debit card, but it would be more likely there'd only be so much cash on it. You spend it, you're done. Where most people are going to open bank accounts for them. The pay will be deposited onto it. They'll be able to use that as just any other bank account would work. These are more spending accounts than checking accounts, so we limit their ability to get in trouble with overdrafts. They're limited to $25 over the amount in their account. We don't charge an overdraft fee, but they would have to repay that before they could continue to use the card. So that's the primary piece within the app, and the vendor we went with was Jack Henry and Associates out of Monette, Missouri. And the reason we picked them is because they have open APIs with their online banking tool, which is called Banno. So we're able then to plug in other apps into their app much more easily than we would if it was an open API. And we start looking at things like the first thing that we've been working on is telehealth, whereby we can acquire telehealth rather inexpensively and provide it to those franchisees as a service they can offer their employees. I mean, it's like $10 a month to have unlimited telehealth visits.
That's excellent.
Yeah, so they can now at least see a doctor if they have an issue, get a prescription, those kind of things. They have to pay to go to a doctor, or go to an emergency room, which was what a lot of people do. Talked about the earned wage advance piece, which is basically you work a day, you can take that pay at the end of the day. We'll facilitate that through our app as well, where they can deposit that money in the account and get paid immediately. Talked about the financial literacy. There's a tool we're looking at now that people can reward themselves for savings. Say, well, I want to save $25 a week for the next 10 weeks. If I do it, I'm going to get $5. If I don't, I'm going to pay $5. So a real incentive to save money, kind of learn. I think there's testing out there, there's videos, there's other things that they can grow their knowledge of how the banking industry works, how to save money. But it makes it fun, makes it a little bit more fun than just typically trying to put $25 into an account. And this has a little bit of reward at the end to you for doing well. And it's it's some fun to it. Looking at also debit card rewards, whereby if someone uses their debit card to make purchases, make so many transactions a month, maybe they get gas cards or movie tickets or something like that. Just try to make it a little more fun, a little more engaging. Have a community out there that the people work in the same industry can interact and talk. So these are things that are all kind of we're thinking about. They have not been all finalized yet as we work through this pilot program. A lot of things will come into play that we'll figure out, gee, we didn't think about that. And now they say, well, that's something I want to have in my tool. And so we'll probably look to whatever we can provide them that they want to see. I mean, that's the cool thing about this is we have the ability to really customize this tool to the individuals that are going to be participating, and then also to the franchisee, to what they want to offer to their employees. So it's very, very versatile. It's very, very customizable, and it's going to, I think, going to help these employers keep their employees more engaged at their work and hopefully extend their term, which is really the big issue we're trying to solve is the massive turnover in the quick service restaurant industry. And we think this is an excellent approach to try to do that. So that's ultimately the real genesis behind it, is let's help the employees and let's help the franchisees by being better to their employees so they stay a little bit longer.
Well, people don't talk about a bank's karma very often, but you are talking about lifting up an entire section of the population and educating them and giving them access to healthcare. And I applaud your efforts. Here's a question for you. So you're dealing directly with franchisees and signing them up to include their employers. Is there a potential for, let's say, a person is a DoorDash driver or one of those sort of freelance food delivery people? Is there a way for them to sign up with your service as well?
Well, they could take advantage of it. They could open an account if they wanted. Primarily on a nationwide basis, we're only going to be using the franchisees as the primary basis, the relationship, because it helps a lot with our bank secrecy requirements. This person's been hired, they know who they are. We can add them to our system. The other limitation we have is anyone under 18 we can't add right now because they can't legally open a checking account. But the cool thing is, though, if you leave, if you work for one of those fast food franchises and you leave, you can keep those benefits. You just pay the small monthly fee we would charge, and you could continue on to carry those benefits forward. And one of the programs we're really considering is, more the pull instead of the push. Instead of going to the franchisee and saying, hey, why don't you offer to employees? We're looking at ways to market to those employees as well, to say, hey, why don't you go talk to your owner and say, why don't you give us these products and services that other people are getting, and we'll reward those employees for that kind of effort. So these are all things we're looking into as we develop this product.
Now, in terms of marketing, what role has content played? How are you getting the story out? How are people finding out about Sonata and this revolutionary approach to banking?
Well, a lot of it has been word of mouth at this point. A lot of our founding group and the initial investors in the company are our franchise owners. I think the number we use is there's 20 different brands, 3,300 plus restaurants around the United States, and over 100,000 employees of the 19 investors that have come in and put money into our company so far. So that's a good basis to start with. Additionally, two of our founding board members sit on a co-op at Taco Bell who work with the 12 largest franchisees from Taco Bell perspective and Yum brand perspective in the United States. So a lot of that is how we're communicating this product out. And as we grow, we're going to start using all the traditional social media channels, Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, these types of social media that we're starting to wade into right now.
I'm going to say that your concept of word of mouth is a little exponentially larger than the average person. If you're
Yeah.
talking about those 19 people, their word of
Yeah.
mouth ripples a rather large pool.
Yes.
Is there anyone, and typically I ask questions like, what makes you stand out from your competition? Is anybody else doing this sort of, does anybody have this sort of business model in the banking world at the moment?
Not to the focus we have. A lot of the online banking products or tools such as Chime, who isn't a bank but is a banking product. They market to probably the same people we're marketing to. I think our biggest advantage is, one, we're focused on one industry right now, and I think we'll expand it into other service industries as we move forward. But right now, really focused on that quick service, fast casual industry. The other thing is we're coming from the employer perspective, so it's more of, we'll bring the product to the employer. They're going to use our product and allow them to quickly add people to our platform, whereby these other platforms are more one by one, getting someone to sign up on your platform and spending huge sums of money in order to advertise. We think we can add people much quicker. There's no one else I'm aware of who is marketing specifically to this industry, though. And I think it's kind of the evolution of banking. I talked a little bit about community banking in the beginning of what community banking is now. It's just really a light group of people. It's not necessarily geographic, but we're forming a community bank that's focused on that industry, that service industry. So I think it's that focus in that industry, the ability to provide some content for that industry, things that will engage people that work in that industry. I think that gives us a real unique competitive advantage in order to get those employees to want to come onto our platform, want to stay onto it, even if once they leave the fast food world, that we can continue to provide them products and services that we think will be interesting to them as they grow on into their life.
I applaud your foresight, truly. You take an underserved community, and the word community has changed, right? We're in a digital world. You don't have to be next door. You could be anywhere. You and I are a part of a community at the moment, and we're thousands of miles apart. So you're leveraging technology in a great way, and you're going to help lift people up, and I applaud you. And I wish you all the best in that. What is something you would like to be celebrating personally and professionally 1 year from now?
Well, 1 year from now, I have a son who's engaged. So I think probably within the next year or two, he'll probably be getting married. So we'll be celebrating that personally.
Congratulations.
As a company, we hope to be much further along in our growth process. We're still really kind of getting everything stood up. And still in the early stages. So hopefully we'll be much further along in that process of actively launching our QSR app, starting to build on the platform and be, 1 or 2 generations into this product at that point, and really starting to see some of the benefits we think we're going to be able to deliver to people. We're going to see some results that are going to show that we're increasing engagement with employees. We're going to see some results that are going to indicate that we're increasing some term. That's what I hope to be celebrating 1 year from now when we launch this thing on a nationwide basis.
Excellent. Excellent. Please tell everyone what your URL is, where they can find Sonata Bank, and what social media channels you're using these days.
So we are sonatabank.com. And on social media right now, we're on LinkedIn. We're just getting ready to launch a Facebook page, and we'll be on Instagram eventually. We're not quite there yet, but as I said, we're really starting to stand this process up. Actually, we just hired a social media coordinator that started this week. So very much early evolution, very much a growing and building process. We've brought on a chief innovation officer in the last probably 3 months, who's taken hold of this QSR product and is coming up with all these really cool products that we never heard of, and being a little further along in our lives, not as engaged in some of these products, but really knows his stuff, really knows the business, and bringing us really cool products and really fintechy cool things that we think we can offer our customers, and then really looking to engage these employees through our social media channels that we're developing now.
Excellent. David Kowalski of Sonata Bank, thank you so much for spending some time with us here on Business Ninjas. I wish you and yours and your company all the success in the world, because if you're succeeding, that means you're helping people thrive, and that's just rippling the pool in the best way possible.
Yeah, thanks so much, Andrew. Really appreciate the time and really appreciate all the opportunity to talk about our company.
Excellent. Be well.